Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're going to talk about the Indiana Pacers. And basically, the Pacers are a team that doesn't really ever pay the tax. I don't think they've ever paid the tax. And I was with my buddy Eric Pincus today, and I think the biggest thing is we were talking about how the Pacers dangled Bennedict Mathurin and Obi Toppin at the deadline. And they also allegedly had exploratory talks with teams interested in Myles Turner, as Myles seeks 30 plus million annually. And one nugget he was telling me, Eric, was that the Pacers are a team that do their off-season homework at the deadline. This is just something that Kevin Pritchard has done, and I can attest to that, as I'm a guy who follows the NBA draft and does a lot of pre-draft work for the website I am employed by, USA Today Sports, hoopshype.com. Go check us out. And last year at Portsmouth, the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament for college seniors, I had found out through, sources I had, that the Pacers were already going to draft Enrique Freeman after seeing him go off in Portsmouth. And I thought Enrique was one of the best performers there. And then I met his agent at the combine, good guy, and told him that. And then what happens? Lo and behold, they draft Enrique Freeman. And that was 3-4 months, almost 2-3 months beforehand. So, and this is a second round pick, a lot of things that could fall in differently. But you could see this as clearly a organization in Indiana that meticulously plans and knows what they're doing in terms of how they construct the team. They've been doing this for forever. And they've already paid Aaron Nesmith, Obi Toppin. Bennedict Mathurin is going to be due for an extension sooner rather than later. I like Bennedict Mathurin. However, I do think that, does he have potential to become a really good basketball player? Yes. But is there also a strong chance that his best version might end up being a guy who's a perennial 6 Man of the Year candidate, which is great. But if you're a team like Indiana, that's not what they need right now. And I think that's the biggest thing. So let's go ahead and talk about a recent report that had come out and basically suggested that, look, this is all kind of the Pacers deciding how they're going to spend their money. Basically, do they let Myles walk and they keep Obi Toppin and they extend Bennedict Mathurin, or do they trade those two guys to create cap space, maybe get guys under better contracts that gives them team control and allows them to re-sign Myles Turner? So to me, I think that's all things that could possibly happen, as Pacers want to keep Myles Turner while avoiding the tax, was something that Tim Bontemps and Brian Windhorst said, I believe, recently on their podcast, as they hope to retain Myles Turner through free agency, but they don't plan to be a tax team for the first time since 2005. And Pacers look to set the start of the offseason about $22 million under the tax. Turner's likely to make a number in that range. I remember the report was $30 million, and that seems like a pipe dream in terms of what they would want to do. But at the same time, 22 million, 25 million makes a lot of sense, as he's making 19.9. And it's important to remember that Turner's salary this season is a team friendly, as he got money up front in a renegotiated and extended contract with Indiana a year or so ago. So in order for Pacers to re-sign Turner and fill out the roster while avoiding the avoiding the tax, they need to make a move. I've said it, Bennedict Mathurin, I think, and Obi Toppin are the most likely, as Jarris Walker and Ben Shepherd. I think you can get Ben Shepherd on a pretty affordable contract. I think Jarris Walker I called him, I remember he was like a guy that I thought was a mix of a Paul Millsap, Onyeka Okongwu blend. And to me, I felt like he was going to be a guy at this point, if they do believe that he is the future, they're probably going to play this similar to how the Hawks played Clint Capella and Onyeka Okongwu. And they re-signed Jarris Walker to an under the market, like maybe when time comes, it's like a 4-year, $60 million deal. And they time it with the end of and they give Myles Turner maybe a 3 or 4 year extension right here. So before Jarris Walker's extension would kick in, Turner would call him off the books, and they would just timeline that correctly. I know Jarris is technically a little undersized, but I think he does fill that like positional like need that you see right there in terms of like a play style they already play with not an undersized center, but a center who's not going to really give you a ton of rebounding. So I think Walker would be able to fill that in, even though I think he's more of a natural power forward. And what I think there is going to be the deciding factor, I think, and then Shepherd, I think he should be cheap enough that like they shouldn't have trouble replacing his salary. But yeah, I think to me the biggest thing is just being able to put together a roster of basically what you're wanting to do is to flip money to be able to keep Turner, and I think it makes sense. So I think Nesmith stays. He just plays how they want to play, so why get rid of him? And I think, and they're a big TJ guy, so, but then I know people are just really like, oh, they have 3-point guards, but they really don't. Like Nembhard and can play off ball. So I think Keegan McConnell's huge, and Nesmith's nice. So personally, I think you could go ahead and, if you look at the Pacers' salary, I think, in my honest opinion, you send Bennedict Mathurin and Obi Toppin to a team maybe like Detroit or Brooklyn, where you just try to get cap space. Maybe you pull off of Detroit a guy. I don't know who you would pull off of Detroit that would like make you simpatico with, or like thinking that was the best move, but in the sense of, you know, finding a team that'll be willing to take your salary or a player, because I would think they would want a guy back. And I'm going off the top of the dome right now, trying to think of teams. That's where I slow down my speak right there. But because I was trying to think like who would be the salaries that they could take off the Pistons or the Nets. Like the Nets, I mean, they wouldn't want to give up any of the young guys that would have any interest, but Obi and Bennedict combined are making like $23 million. So if you can find a way to get rid of that $23 million, and either, as we said, and I think those are the best, because you're already going to have to, Bennedict Mathurin becomes extension eligible, and Obi Toppin has a few more. And I think Detroit would have potential interest in a deal like that, because Detroit would maybe just look at you and be like, okay, would you want like Simone Fontecchio? And you save $15 million there. And I think that's a good way to look at it. So I think a deal like that could really be possible, where you do just take Simone Fontecchio or something like that.